and welcome to Down the Alley. This is PMAC,
And Ted T.S. Spirides.
And Katie.
and I would say 99% of the games of the regular season are done. Pulling up kind of schedules now, working through delays, working through weather, right? Rain makes grain. Rain's good for the farmer. We've had a lot of it. We've had a lot of it this week. It's good for the turf fields as well. How's everybody's week going here as we get fired up for this episode?
Going well, I guess. The season ended. It was hot. And now I love the rain. Like, I mean, I don't love that it's canceling things, but I will say it was kind of nice to have a night off.
Yeah, it was funny, and I was actually talking to Mr. Marshall before our game, and I was like, yeah, I'm like, have you been just dealing with paperwork and phone calls for the last 24 hours? He's like, yeah. And our game was scheduled for Tuesday, and it like a 5:30 game, and it was 5 o'clock, and at my house it had already been canceled. It was sunny. I'm like, man, like maybe we made a mistake. And 10 minutes later, Armageddon showed up, just thunder pouring, lightning, maybe hail, tornadoes. I don't even know. I was like, okay, yeah, maybe that was a good call.
Yeah, no, I'd
I
have been
yeah, we got
miserable.
the call maybe at like I don't even know what time it was, and I just like stopped everything and brought Groot to the dog park and was like speed walking. And like as I watched, because like obviously it's like a big open field, and as I watched the clouds, and I just like made him just like we were just booking it around. And then like I think I pulled into the driveway and the big huge drop started. So we missed it in the nick of time. And then I too was like, oh, if this is all the rain we're gonna get, this is so stupid. And then yeah, it was like 10 minutes later, and it was like I'm pretty sure we got some hail, and then it just literally, and I was like, okay, regardless of if there was lightning or not, I think there was a lot of thunder, I know. I did not want to be out in that pouring rain. Like it was pouring, like I have not seen it pour in so long. So was
Uh,
everything worked out.
one thing that I don't think was canceled or closed during Armageddon was our friends over at Old Southern Barbecue. Rain, shine, tornadoes, winter storms. The barbecue game stays open, right? They stay working. And Old Southern Barbecue, last week of barbecue month, big month. Things are coming off the shelves. They're whipping briskets and porks everywhere. And then online, they've got rubs, sauces, great merchandise that we've been talking about all month long. DTA 15. Check that out. 15% off for anything you order online. And also, there's a couple openings left. Uh, Grad parties, right? It's grad party season coming up. If you don't have plans yet, uh, call them now. Call them today. Call them yesterday. Call them yesterday, 612-240-1503. Get on their schedule because it's grad party season, and they'll make sure all of your guests are filled up.
And I also want to shout out to for anybody who hasn't been into a Old Southern Barbecue location, they do have some limited supply of rubs and sauces there. So if you're headed to a cabin or something like that for the weekend and you went, oh shoot, I'm going to be doing some grilling or smoking or cookout, whatever you're doing, and you need something, you could stop in on your way and get some merchandise. I don't know if the promo code applies for in-person sales. Probably should have checked that out before I
Drop our
bought.
name anyways. Let them know. Let them know down the alley. Sent you in. I would assume at this point, if you've been listening, you've been there. So any new listeners, right? That's your only excuse for not being at Old Southern Barbecue yet.
Yeah. Um, another week of just craziness and interesting games, and has it felt like this year every week there's been a very meaningful game. Like there's a
Every
game
week, every night almost.
almost, and of course, we've always kind of prefaced it with doesn't really matter what happens in the regular season. Everybody's 0-0 at this point going into playoffs.
Not yet. Not for the Lakers. The Lakers start late, we end late.
Yeah, so the Lakers still have 6 more games to play in 2 days. But as of this weekend, I will say, you can kind of recalibrate and say everybody's got a chip in a chair at this point. But with that being said, I feel like every night has had an interesting game between maybe it's a conference battle, maybe it's a top 10 or top 5 matchup, maybe it's a wow, this team is undefeated this year and they had a losing record last year, but they're playing a blue blood, or it's always been something. I feel like every night this past week was no exception. And I think it was kicking it off on Friday. I mean, Katie, maybe you can touch on this a little bit. We had a tie in the first. Is that the first tie that we've ever had in Minnesota high school lacrosse? I'm sure it's not, but with the rules of overtime, Maple Grove and Benilde, a section game, a section implication game, ends in an 8-8 tie. And there is some notes here. I don't, Katie, if you maybe heard more about this than I did, but sounds like it was weather related, but crazy.
I haven't. I know I was getting some notes during the boys game. I wasn't getting notes. I was sitting with someone who was texting and getting some notes, and so I only heard kind of secondhand during the boys game, and so I was a little distracted. I think this is a perfect example of the score doesn't tell the whole story. It for sure was lightning. So they did call it like sounds like really late in the, right before OT. It sounds like fourth quarter there was a lot of lightning.
And what I have here said, so it says want to have a fun section discussion, have your top 2 teams tie.
Right.
And it sounds like the refs called the game right before overtime started. Now this is a rumor. It
sounds like the refs also maybe had some questionable decisions.
So this is the note that I have. Again, I wasn't there. This is third hand. Was that there was lightning during the fourth quarter. They kind of ignored it to not call the game, but then right before overtime, then it was called, and then it was kind of going the rest of the night, so they just called the game. So I don't know if it wasn't seen. Again, this is probably from a parent who told a person who told the source who told us. So this is no shade at the refs or anybody. It's just what I heard of why maybe that this game was a tie. But nonetheless, I think the bigger discussion here is that, the 2 kind of favorites or 2 team. Champlin Park's in there too. So you have 2 teams that are vying for seeding in a section. Now they tied. It will just make the section discussion maybe a little bit longer. I've always said that these section out of conference games, but their section games get scheduled for this exact reason, to have head to head, so things can be a little more objective. Well, that kind of gets thrown out the window. So very interesting. I don't expect that to impact too much with these 2 teams. Obviously, 2 teams that are very good and will have sights set on Section 5 in the next few days.
So I have something to say. You said no shade at the refs. I do have some shade at the refs. Not anyone in particular and not any specific game in particular, but with Tuesday's cancellation, I really appreciated that they made the call. Like, they made the call early. I don't know who made the call, if the school did, if the coaches did.
Make the call.
Who made the call?
Athletic directors, ADs.
So I really appreciated that because you're not getting everybody at the field. You're not like, when there's storms like that coming, a simple look at the radar, I appreciated that. If it ended up not being as bad, if the storm dissipated, whatever, we can only do so much. I think these, like, when you get everybody to the field and you're trying to wait out lightning, and then you get lightning delay after lightning delay after lightning delay, like, I kind of appreciate, even in this instance, the refs just calling it. Because the shade I have a little bit is refs who don't have enough like gumption to take control of the game, and they get, yeah, parents are an issue, yeah, us coaches yell and are an issue, but what I really appreciate in a ref is when they come, they know what they're doing, even if they don't know what they're doing, and they take a little bit of ownership in their role of the game and kind of play that middle person. And I've had some girls who are trying to ref like the younger, and I tell them, like, blow your whistle with a little bit more force, own your call, and like communicate, over communicate to the coaches, or like take the time to answer a question. So in this game, I do kind of appreciate, it sounds like they kind of were late to the call, trying to get the game going, but like I kind of appreciate that they were just like, we're not dealing with a lightning delay, we're just calling it. And Tuesday, the refs weren't involved, but like you're able to stay home, not get everybody to the field, get games done at 11 o'clock at night. So I kind of, the games, in my opinion, that go really well for both sides are where the refs are taking like ownership of their role in this game. And we've got a really great ref, even if I sometimes don't agree with the calls. And I have a ref that does high school and some of my 10U games, and he takes a minute, tells them what they're doing, and then like doesn't take back talk and just sets them up, and like we get going. And it's always a great game. Like I said, maybe I don't agree with all of his calls, but at least he's like, you know what, I'm making this call, and and that's what it's going to be, and then we all get over it. And so I appreciate when refs take that ownership and like manage their perspective of the game, and with the weather too, because I remember the boys had a game last year that like everybody moved out of the parking lot, like, where are you going to go? I think it was, they were playing Minnetonka at Prior Lake, so they're not going to like go home. So is it like really any safer in the parking lot? Like maybe, but then it's just like lightning delay, and then it's like finally call it. And it's like, I know weather is just hit or miss, but at the same time, it's like, okay, someone's got to just take ownership and do this. So that's my rant about lightning and refs.
Sure, I would agree with that. If you're at Prior Lake and there's a rain delay, there's a lot of sheds at Prior Lake. I've noticed that it's like a village of sheds. So you could find a shed to be in. I just noticed that this past week. But also on Friday, a high scoring game, 15-13 Woodbury over Roseville. I have no notes on that, but Woodbury, we've been talking about them a little bit, maybe getting hot at the right time. So nice win for them. On to Saturday, a couple actually big matchups. The first one, Eastridge and Rosemount.
That's the brunch game.
Eastridge 7, Rosemount 3, low scoring game. We've talked a lot about Rosemount kind of up and coming. I know Katie had mentioned maybe a pretty significant injury to their squad this year, maybe change some things for them. But nonetheless, very nice win for Eastridge. The notes here say Eastridge is for real. They're probably somewhere in the top 10, as far as their caliber. I don't know where they're actually ranked in the polls, but they're 10-3. And last year they made that Cinderella run as a 5 seed. So they do know how to win when they need to win, and definitely a team to watch out for in Section 3. The other kind of big matchup from just name brands, Lakeville South at Edina. Lakeville South wins 14-3. I feel like they give up like 2 or 3 goals only every single game. So
Yeah, last night I think they let up 3 with somebody.
so to me it sounds like you know, you're going to have to find a way to score double digits on Lakeville South to have any chance at beating them. And so tip of the cap to their defense this year. I think maybe their offense is probably a product of that as well. But you know, Lakeville South, kind of the team to beat at this point. On to Monday, Minnetonka 19, Southwest Christian 8. Big win for the
I
Skip.
can speak to that a little bit later when we talk about the PL game.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tonka might be on the rise here, peaking late in the season. Peaking late in the season, according to people I talked to.
And back to Woodbury. Woodbury 14
Yeah.
out of 10. You know, I know Wayzata maybe is a year away, or they're not, you know, they're kind of hit or miss this year, but Woodbury going across town, nice late conference win for them, you know, out of conference win against a late conference team. Uh, you know, just slowly stacking wins, the Woodbury Royals. So, you know, again, another Section 3 team. Section 3 is always crazy, boys and girls. That's the people section. If you're a fan of lacrosse and have no horse in the race, you want to go watch that Section 3 tournament. On to Tuesday.
Well, let's keep talking about Woodbury because they played Friday, then they played Monday, and then they get a game in on Tuesday. 3 games Tuesday. Let's talk about all of them because they were the only ones who got in. Park Cottage Grove did beat them, but man, like let's mix in a practice if you're Woodbury, but maybe not. Blake beating White Bear 1 goal game. So that would be interesting to have some notes on.
I feel like White Bear Lake girls are also laying in the weeds a little bit, as well as a Section 4 team that maybe is being slept on a little bit.
Sneaky.
Yeah, it looks like Woodbury and Park got to play in Bielenberg or Health East, whatever.
Oh, inside. Oh, you're right.
Eastridge High School now. I don't know who the naming rights partner is on that. So
I think it is M Health. And then Rosemount got a win. They had a tough week prior. So Rosemount is that, I think they're both in our section 6. Little matchup. So Rosemount got a little win there to kind of round out their season.
Wednesday became a very busy day because of all the cancellations. A lot of things got bumped. Hopkins beating Moorhead 10-9. Moorhead coming down to Hopkins on a Wednesday night. That's impressive. And it sounds like the gal that got in the car accident early this year, it sounds like she's
right.
playing yet, but she's back. Like she's back on like on the sideline and is doing.
Oh, good. I was wondering about that.
I believe I saw that. If I'm wrong on that, I truly apologize, but I thought I saw that she was like back out with the team. So that
awesome.
Chanhassen and Orono, huge game between 2, you know, good teams on the west side, also a section clash. I think, you know, the Section 2, they all kind of beat up on each other a little bit. So that's going to be interesting on how seeding happens there. But Orono gets the win 11-9. Another nice win for Orono. You know, they're a team on the rise. This Layla Nick, we talk about her every episode, 6 goals. I think she's a freshman or an 8th grader. I think a freshman.
Oh, yeah. What is she? I think she's a freshman.
So we have a lot more years to watch her do her thing at Orono. Maple Grove. Don't sleep on the Crimson quite yet. Maple Grove beats Champlin Park 9-8 to win the Northwest Suburban. Champlin Park was undefeated. This is a big matchup. Tip of the cap to the Crimson, who've been up and down this year, but have played a very tough schedule.
So yeah, Maple Grove. It's going to be really interesting what happens with the top 10 because Champlin was 3rd. And now Maple Grove has tied the 4th seed and beat, or not seed, 4th ranked team and beat the 3rd ranked team.
Did anybody see this coming from the
No.
Crimson?
No. Not even a little bit. So good for them. They're talk about someone peaking at the right time. They're peaking at the right time.
And we talked about this months ago, that Section 5 for the girls is a great section. There's a lot of good teams.
So Maple Grove and Benilde, like, I mean, we think about matchups. I would love it if Maple Grove upset Benilde in their section tournament.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. There's a lot. There should be some very good games in that section.
Yeah.
Whoever comes out of there, I would, I don't think they'll get the one if Lakeville South gets out, and Prior Lake, if they get out, probably is the 2. But they're battle tested. That's a tough. And you're coming in to state already of playing, potentially 2 very competitive games. So
Right.
watch out for Section 5. Thursday, 27 games, probably a product reschedules.
Yeah, because remember we talked about that Tuesday that had 24 games or something like that, and now this one trumped that.
27 games. I'm going to skip ahead here a little bit. I'm going to talk about White Bear Lake 6-5 win in overtime. And it sounds like the Matamidi goalie, Addie DeMars, had a pretty huge game and kept this one pretty close and low scoring. Maple Grove, 13-12 over Wayzata in 3 overtimes.
Like, what the heck, Crimson?
Not only are they going to be battle tested, coming out of the section, if that's who ends up winning, they've been battle tested coming into the section at this point. So Maple Grove getting playing their best lacrosse when at the right time here. And then Stillwater beating Edina 20-10, so 20 goals. So Stillwater, they've had a very interesting season, up and down, very tough.
Yeah.
But a big 20 goal performance for them. So I'll bump it back to you guys. Prior Lake beats the Skippers 19-8. Your thoughts?
9. So
9. Yes, it says 9 and I said 8.
We all played last game of the season, away game. Not sure how I felt about that. Like, because now JV and B team are just kind of done. And so it was like, see you guys at our banquet. We went out for ice cream after. The Prior Lake coaching staff loves nothing more than taking the bus to bus stops after games. When we find out that we can take our bus and stop at make a bus stop, it is might be like the pride of our program is taking the bus places after our games.
Which ice cream shop did you go to? Did you go to Licks or did
nope.
you go to the other place by Lake Minnetonka?
You know it.
I can't remember what it's called. I want to say
Adele's.
It's
Adele's.
Adele's.
We went to Adele's, and people there were like, we had a busload of people, whatever, but like people were like, how do you know about this place? And like we were all joking, and we were like, we do have phones. I was the one who found it, of course, because the girls were thinking like Culver's, Dairy Queen, and I was like,
Come on.
We're going to Adele's. I was like, I've got a place for you. We called, Coach Jess called, and there's just teenagers working this tiny ice cream shop, Custard, sorry.
Slam them on a Thursday night.
Yeah, and she was like, Coach Jess was like, she sounds very scared. So we're going to email their manager. And if anybody's out in the Minnetonka area, quality staff of teenagers, they got us in and out so fast while working a drive-through. And the gal on the register was like dictating the kids behind her, like, grab me an Oreo milkshake, all this stuff. And we have the best time. We literally had the best time. We love stopping the bus. So we did hit up Adele's. If you've never been there, it's like right in downtown-ish Excelsior. It's custard. They have a rotating flavor list, toppings. It's so good. It is so good. I love custard. It was the perfect way to just kind of end. We we get the bus driver something, we chat, and then we take the bus home. So it was fun to kind of end with that. My B team, shout out, came back from being down the whole game, and we had a buzzer beater, parent run horn beater goal. We scored the tying goal with like a minute left, and we scored a buzzer beater that we all thought we were going to run out of time and it was going to be a tie. And just buzzed right down and scored a goal. And like, as they were walking back to the draw, the horn went, or right when the draw went up. Anyways, so then we're all playing varsity game. This was a really fun matchup. So in my time at Prior Lake, we haven't played Minnetonka, and I think it's been a good 6 or 7 years since Prior Lake and Minnetonka have played. We have had them on our list of like, we know we need to watch them. They're having a heck of a season. We've kind of always kept tabs on them. It was an awesome game. And on the bus ride home, we all agreed, after we got ice cream, of course, we all agreed that this game felt a lot more competitive than the score showed. We felt like they were on our tails, one goal the entire game. And at one point I think the first quarter was like 4-3. And they answered, I think all of their goals were like an answer to any of ours. So even though we had the lead, like I said, they are tough. They have some insane shooters, like really athletic, powerful attackers. And their 4 starting D are also insanely like athletic, large in a good way. I mean this in a good way. Like they are powerful as a team. And I love that in girls sports. I think that's something we don't talk about enough. Goalie made huge saves. And I'm not even just saying this because Coach Anna, Team 36 bias, but like we played a really good game. I'm not going to lie about that. We showed up. We played Laker lacrosse. Draws were 50-50. Goalies were probably 50-50. I think quarter-wise, it kind of changed the flow of the game between which goalie was kind of making the stops. I mean, their clear game is on point. Their ride is really tough. Like I said, their attackers had some insane, like 5-6 meters out, like inside the 8 meter, like a step or two, and just took some like snipes on us. I'll quote myself and say that if we played them in the beginning of the season, I don't think the score would have been this big of a differential. I think it would have been like a 1-goal game. I think it could have gone either way. We are peaking at the right time. We want to be peaking, but this was a really fun matchup. For the B team, it was a good matchup. JV had not a very good game. They lost by 1. But I'm really excited, hopefully, for the B team to do like a series of this. I would love to play them twice. It was fun. In true Skipper fashion, the scoreboard is like $1 billion scoreboard with graphics and tickers and colors and fireworks when they score.
Who's running the stream today? Did they have any?
You know what? We had a nice guy. A nice guy.
Okay, so no McCracken.
Sure he had no. I don't think it was Phil McCracken. I never.
I don't know. I don't remember his name, but I remember something about a McCracken.
So the guy did make sure he took notes on pronunciations, loved his job. So I think this guy was not our dear friend Phil. I think he's more of the regular guy, thank goodness. He had maybe nicer things to say
Is he
about
from TNT?
not sure.
They didn't bring in Charles Barkley or anything?
No, they had a lot of cameras in the stands though. A lot of film equipment run by a lot of parents that
Did they have like multi cameras going? Like once it got to
multi-cameras.
this area, different angle.
I don't know,
Sideline
but there was a
reporter,
lot
sideline
of
interviews.
tripods. There was a lot of tripods.
They have sideline interviews during the game?
No sideline interviews.
Okay,
The guy
okay.
on the bike loved his job.
Okay.
He took it seriously. The board, like I said, the board, you had to like, you don't just look up at the score. You looked up and had to decipher what you were looking at for like a good 5 minutes.
The speaking of multiple camera angles, that there I think it's North Metro TV and Park TV when they do games, lacrosse games, they do cut to like multiple camera angles and
That's cool.
so, if you ever catch a game, I think Park TV does obviously St. Louis Park Hopkins Benilde games. North Metro is usually like Blaine Centennial area. I was watching a stream a while back and they would like cut to replay and stuff. So good production team. Hopefully they do more lacrosse games in the future. Last thing
With that though, I think I know Minnetonka can beat EP.
there you have it.
And I would love for Minnetonka to, I don't know if they've ever made a state tournament.
What they got to
run.
get through? They got to get through Chan, right? And Eden Prairie.
I think Chan's easy money. I think Minnetonka is tough across the board, and
they're
think
all in the
they
same
can
section
beat
though.
EP.
Like that's
Yes,
they're all in the same section. It's Chan, Eden Prairie, Minnetonka,
yeah, Minnetonka.
Buffalo,
Speaking of Prairie,
Southwest Christian.
Southwest Christian. Okay, what do you got, Ted?
speaking of Eden Prairie, they win 15-11 over Blake. So that's a blue blood versus blue blood matchup there. Blake having a great season, not surprised, I guess, but I should say I'm surprised because none of us picked Blake to be in the top 4 of Section 5 preseason.
Huh.
So they add another team into Section 5, girls, that will have to not an easy out for anybody. You know, they're as capable of winning the section as anybody else. So hanging with EP, who's had a great season. Speaking of, we're probably going to have to do a separate episode for sections before, like when they all get seated, but Eden Prairie got the 1, Ponca the 2, Orono the 3, and then Chaska and Chanhassen Chanhassen and Chaska 4-5. So EP potentially meets up with Chan Chaska in the semis, and we could see an Orono Minnetonka semifinal.
Ooh, that was a 1-goal game. So
Section 6, if you're interested, Section 2 is already seated. It looks like Section 6 as well. Some have not been, but yeah, we'll probably have to do a deeper dive into section seating when they all come out. Last thing for the girls here, we did talk about last episode. Conference champions were decided this week, last week, I don't know, but the Source did a write-up on the conferences and how big of a mess conferences are, especially with a lot of the conferences don't actually play, like they don't play each other. Like teams within a conference don't actually play. So how do you determine who the champion is? Some only play one conference game, some play multiple. And like the conferences are based on, you get 2 points for a win and 0 points for a loss or whatever. So, take this with a grain of salt. We did the best we could trying to figure out, who is the champs, but Big 9, Owatonna, congrats to Owatonna. Greater West Metro, it was literally who knows, but should be Chisago Lakes. Maybe go read about that. It sounds like they didn't all really play each other. The IMAC was Blake. The I don't know what conference. I think this is the independent. The independent teams. Brainerd is 2-1 and lost to Moorhead. Gentry beat Moorhead 21-4, but Gentry only played one conference game, quote unquote conference. It's the independent. So Brainerd is at the top, but they lost to Moorhead, who lost to Gentry, and neither of them have played Gentry. So who knows? You decide who the conference champion is there. Lake Conference, Eden Prairie, Lake Superior, Grand Rapids Greenway, Metro East.
They had a nice little 1 goal against Moorhead.
Yeah.
They beat Moorhead 1 goal, so that's kind of a fun game for them.
Metro East, Hill Murray. Metro West, Benilde St. Margaret's. Northwest Suburban, Maple Grove. South Suburban, Lakeville South. Suburban East, Stillwater, maybe. Park, maybe. Sounds like they're co-champs, even though Stillwater beat Park. Doesn't sound like they do tiebreakers in conference. It's a share of the title.
Let us not tweet about it like the tweet heard around the world of Jefferson and Benilde co-sharing.
Not this year.
Chan and Benilde, I mean.
Not this year.
Co-sharing a conference champ. Last year?
Yeah, it must have been last year, not this year.
Yeah, last year.
Tri-Metro, PMAX team, St. Croix Prep.
Hey, shout out to the hedge fund. Dividends will be paid this year.
Wright County Conference champion, Southwest Christian. So congrats to all those teams on a kind of a stepping stone for them. And, you know, obviously, you know, you have big rivalries within your conference. So congrats to all the conference winners.
Are we thinking about going over to the boys now?
Going over the
I
boys.
think so.
Yeah, before we go to the boys, you know, the people like other topics. We've talked a good amount of food talk already, so we'll keep it quick. We were talking ice cream today. Couple topics came up to the people in the Discord. Couple things. One topic that came up that I am not going to talk about. They want me to talk about the reffing organizations. I don't know if they're parent companies. I don't know if they're, I don't know how associations of refs. I don't know how you would, what they call themselves.
Where would you even begin?
I don't know. This is my comment. I'm an assistant coach of a lacrosse team. I really don't, I really don't care. As long as there's refs there, like I have nothing to do with booking refs, with ref negotiations. I've got nothing to do with anything with the refs.
I think the two groups
so
would make it
we're gonna
nice
leave it
thing.
at thank you for reffing, both organizations. We appreciate the refs. We are pro refs. And I
just want them to take ownership of the game.
And Katie likes when they take ownership of the game. So thank you for reffing both organizations this year. You guys have done a great job. We've got section brackets coming out that's been mentioned. They're not all out yet, so maybe we can hop on the mics and talk sections before they start next week. We will try to fit that into our schedules with the holiday weekend. Now we got food talk.
This is what everybody really wants to hear about.
Food trucks at lacrosse games. I guess the CDH big rivalry game. I'm sure we'll talk about that against their rival St. Thomas Academy. I guess there's some food trucks, and the people of DTA Nation love food trucks at lacrosse games, and the people of Prior Lake do too. We had food trucks out at our, was it PLAY night, our youth night? I think it was a youth and alumni night. Don't even remember who we hosted, but regardless, we had 3 food trucks there. The people loved it. The players loved it. The coaches loved it. Everyone was all in on food trucks. I know we've talked about it kind of as a staff and Prior Lake in general, like having kind of, you know, a themed night along with food trucks, along with other things that kind of make a fan experience, a whole experience around the event. And food trucks is one of the many ways I think you can do that. And we found it was awesome, and everyone was super into it. You know, obviously Katie was there on the girls' side.
Yeah.
Ted, is Farmington done anything with food trucks or theme nights? or anything this year that you've been a part of, or somebody else that you guys have played?
Oh, I don't think so. I know we've had like our youth night or like alumni night, that kind of stuff, but no food trucks. Did not play a game with any food trucks. So I think anything to get more people out and watching lacrosse, I think is great. If you gotta, add, if lacrosse isn't enough and you gotta add other aspects, I think, um, that's what they do in other levels of sports, right? You got to have the fan experience. It's not just about the product on the field. So, um, if anybody has connections to food trucks and wants to come to Farmington, wants to come to Prior Lake. I can't speak for other organizations, but, hit us up. We could always bring it to our board and see if we can make it happen. So I'm all in on that for sure.
And it for
So
sure takes more scheduling and all that, but it's a good thing. Katie, sorry I cut you off.
we partook in the food truck endeavor, and there was a Filipino truck, and that's what I chose to get because the other one was like chicken and then mini donuts, which are always good. But PMAC and I are foodies, whether we want to believe it or not. How I found Adele's, I'm the secret of Excelsior, apparently. Um, Kuma Inn, Filipino home style eats. Um, it gives Thai vibes, but like not quite. So Filipino, like if you kind of like Thai food, um, you'll probably like it. They're out of Champlin. We got some sort of egg roll. We got fried rice, like a noodle, a skewer. Highly recommend it. Did you like it?
It was good.
You had
I know you got it like during my game or whatever, so I kind of got the
Yeah.
leftovers. Because I had the late game that night, whatever. People don't want to listen to it. So I kind of had to warm it back up at home later, an hour later. It was still good. It was still good. I enjoyed it. Great egg roll. Great egg roll.
Yeah, they call them lumpia, I think, for Filipino, but really good egg roll. And then they had it was garlic rice. We got like some sort of like noodle lo mein type thing. It was really good. And then a garlicky rice, and I could live off of that garlic rice. So they're out in Champlin. I think they have an Instagram, KUMAIN eats.
And it
Kumain.
wasn't a food truck, Ted, but your new Prague game. They had a barbecue joint at the game. So even if it wasn't a food truck, but there's been some other things that we've seen, at various games.
Yeah, for sure. I think that was Northfield, right? Northfield game.
Oh yeah, Northfield. Sorry, Northfield. And if you're not gonna, another food topic here from the people, if you're not gonna have a food truck, have a food deal. Inflation, it's hitting all of our pockets. McDonald's prices are through the roof. However, the BSM game, I guess they had a meal deal, chips, drink, and a hot dog. $5 bones. You got to pay a cover to get it through the doors.
Yeah,
that's
the
another
door fee
topic
was
that
$8.
yeah, that I'm not a huge fan of that, but even with the food deal, you're under 15, which is according to the people what it costs for a situation in McDonald's.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. How are they going to get Joe Bear out on the recruiting budget if they don't charge a cover for the games? There's plane tickets to pay for, right? They got a gas.
You got a lot of reimbursements. You got a lot of reimbursements to get. I like almost couldn't get in the game because I'd never carry cash with me, and I forget because Prior Lake doesn't charge. And so I literally was like, luckily I had a 20.
This was the first year I feel like that there wasn't rumors about Benilde having like kids from Maryland and Canada and who knows where Japan
Flew in.
We're like I heard that Benilde has a kid from so and so place. It feels like every year there's like just these outlandish rumors, and it's just this was the first year I don't think those rumors surfaced, so that's why I'm giving them crap right now.
Maybe it was coming from Horn the whole time.
Probably was.
Last topic here, question from the people. I don't have a strong opinion. Katie might. Ted, I'm not saying you don't have an input on this either, but best hot dog brand or Nathan's Ballpark were a couple of brands there kind of threw out there, but I don't think I have a strong opinion. I guess I'm more of a brat guy. I like to go to the case and find me a good filled up brat.
I don't have a strong opinion on brands necessarily, but I will say at the Spirides house when
Yeah.
we do, we go Nathan's. We do it on the Blackstone. We put a little bit of butter down and we sear them on the Blackstone and then sprinkle with some garlic salt, not a ton, just a little bit, and then we go that route, and they are good. We don't do it a lot, but that is the route we go. But if someone handed me an off-brand, if someone said this is a Costco hot dog, I'd still probably eat it. I wouldn't. I'm not a hot dog snob, so no other opinion other than that.
Hey, fair enough. Take notes on the recipe, DTA Nation. If you're looking for a hot dog recipe, Katie, any anything to add?
Yeah.
Do you have a
I have
different
strong
take?
opinions on this. Yeah.
Okay, hit us. People want to know.
You have to go nitrate free. Nitrate free. Teton Waters Ranch. It's got this weird TWR logo. You can get a pack of, I think they're technically labeled Polish sausage. You can get a 3-pack at Costco, and they're unreal. They are so good. I could eat them plain. I usually do. I got on this kick when I've done a big fan of the Whole30. If anyone's ever heard of it, you have to eat specific things that have like minimal ingredients. One of them is you can't have nitrates. Hot dogs have a lot of nitrates. You can get these at Costco or Lund's. Teton Waters Ranch. Like I said, the ones at Costco are technically labeled Polish sausage, but they don't taste like that. They're grass-fed beef. It's a hot dog, and they are so good. Speaking of recipes, one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen on Instagram is from one of my food bloggers I follow, and I love her. Her name's Tabitha, and we love Tabitha, but she's a vegan, and she literally made a recipe for like a hot dog that was actually a carrot. So she made like a real long carrot tasting like a hot dog. And there was garlic powder and like onion powder, and put it in some sort of bun, or like, cause she's vegan, so they can have bread. And I thought it was like a meme, and she was dead serious about making a carrot taste like a hot dog.
Did you make it?
No, never. I don't believe in vegetarianism or veganism as a theory. I have personal bias against it. And so no.
Okay.
I will eat my 100% grass-fed Teton Waters Ranch, no free ads, hot dogs from Costco.
And when you don't want to
always
cook them,
in our freezer.
when you don't want to cook them, go over to Old Southern Barbecue. They got great Texas hot links. I know it's not a hot dog or a brat, but it'll do the trick over at Old Southern Barbecue. Texas hot links. They are fantastic. Over to the boys. Get this thing back on the rails. Big week of games, great matchups, conference championships, a DTA showdown. A lot to talk about. The people want the people need it. They've been asking for it. We've been getting emails. We've been getting texts. Ted, where do you want to start? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to finish on the boys' side?
We'll start with Friday. Andover and Rogers. We'll talk about Rogers later, but they've had a great season. Andover has had a great season.
Yes, they have. Both.
Two teams that, were about 500 last year, seem to be much improved. Andover wins 9-6. I would have not have picked them to win that game.
Me neither.
And so huge win for Andover. And so that was, super, Super nice win for them. I think they can hang their hat on that heading into sections.
Andover's got to be fired up with the season they've had. Like, are you kidding me? Like I don't know. I'm fired up for Andover. I'm happy for them. It was I think I went on a rant a couple weeks ago saying it was a matter of time, not when, or not if, it was when. I didn't think it'd be this year either. They're a sports town. They love to win. Great hockey programs. I'm glad they're starting to get it done on the lacrosse field. And then Rogers, kind of same story. Um, I would have picked Rogers in this one though. I would have I would have picked Rogers in this game this year. We were ranting and raving. They responded later this week. We'll get to that, but maybe a trap game. Maybe a trap game for Rogers. I don't know.
Andover last year 4-11. This year 10-3. That's a huge turnaround.
Huge. They were struggling to win games. You know what I think it is? You know what I think it? Of course, she gets off. Family friend Jake Mellum was on the staff. He got out of there. They started winning. I think that was you had to get rid of him. You had to get rid of him. Now they're winning. Now they're winning lacrosse games. Great coaching choice by the staff. They're getting rid of him.
There you go. There you go. On to Saturday. Eastridge 16, Minnetonka 10. This game was played on Friday night. The rain came in, and Eastridge, I was talking to the Eastridge coaches on Saturday.
Okay.
To go home, get back on they did, I don't know how they got there, but I assume get back on a bus and go play the second half of that game at Minnetonka from Woodbury. So unfortunate, obviously it can't control the weather. They did finish the game. Eastridge beating Minnetonka 16-10. Egan 18-8 over White Bear Lake. That I'm not surprised Egan won. The margin at which they won surprised me on that one. I'll skip probably the game of the day for a second. Orono, a close one against Buffalo, 7-5. So that's an interesting game. Edina taking care of Centennial. Cretin 8, Hastings 7. So that's a close Section 3 game at a night game on a Saturday. I know Coach Wilson likes his night games, Saturday night games. So a fun game there between two Section 3 teams. Obviously, the big game of the day, Benilde Prior Lake. I was at this game. I have a funny story about this game.
Okay.
I thought it was.
Was it the fact that you were there and then you left and you didn't say hi to either of us?
Well, I didn't know what the protocol is for the Prior Lake. I didn't know how long you were going to be like talking to your team and whatever. And sorry, I didn't know that you wanted to see me that bad. And I didn't even know you were there, Katie. I assumed you.
I didn't know you were there until Gold told me.
Yeah,
He's like, oh, I saw Ted and Mitch, and we're both like, all right.
So let's talk about the game first. Kind of a gritty game between two good teams, high skill level. I think both teams had injuries or were dealing with lineup situations. If you would have told me it would have been like 3-3 at halftime or 2-2,
I 2-2 at half.
I don't know if I would have believed you. But I guess doesn't surprise me with two good defenses. Offenses had to work to get a look in this game. They had to work to get a look. There was a goalie goal.
So I think that's where I wanted to start. Not in the game plan to start the game with like a timeout on a weird clear, and then end that same clear with a goalie goal.
Yeah. So, that's like the fifth goalie goal I've heard of this year. So goalies must have been doing some shooting training in the offseason.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not trying to insult either team. I don't know if the volume was turned up to 10 in this game with two teams that might know that another potential game is coming. Not that the intensity wasn't high, but it was a good game. I'll be interested to see what happens if these two teams play again. Funny story. We're on the fence, standing room only on the fence. talking to this guy's next to me. Mitch and I are there. We're undercover. We're not wearing any Tigers stuff. We'll get to later on how that impacted the game later in the week and if that made a difference or not. But we're sitting there. There was a questionable call, and the guy next to me is just giving the refs the business. And then he kind of turns over. He's like, "I'm just joking." He's like, "This kid's my son." And we're like, "Oh, okay." And we're just chatting with this guy. I don't think he knew we were the Farmington coaches. He didn't give us any information, but we were talking Nebraska football with him. He was just chatting with us. It was pretty funny. Super nice guy. But I don't think he realized who we were, even though I did say PMAC is my brother-in-law, but he obviously had no idea who I was, or maybe he did. I don't know.
Or maybe he had no idea who PMAC was, is really the question.
He has to know. This is a player PMAC has coached for a while, so he has to know. But super nice guy. Just shooting the shit with the Prior Lake parents on the sideline. But overall, really well played game. Two obviously high caliber teams, and I'll be interested to see what happens if they play again. We'll see. If you're going to be someone who bets on trends, the trend would be that these two teams will play somewhere in June, sometime in June.
Yeah, a lot has to happen before that, especially in the section that we're in. So I don't know. I don't know if we're really too worried about playing Benilde again at the moment. Hopefully for us and them, right? If that was to be, both teams would be happy about that.
I
But
just need to talk more about our own teams.
what?
I just was told we need to talk more about our own teams.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I gave up that the game plan was to start the game with the goalie goal. Like that was we're trying to score more goalie goals.
I'll talk about our game plan against the Lakers here in a couple minutes. So we're going to dive deep into that. But on to Monday. Where do we start here? I think Rogers plays Blaine to a 10-8 win. That's a competitive game. Blaine kind of hanging around this year. What do we think about them?
I like Blaine. I've been talking about Blaine. They got a good goalie. I feel
like we talk about them every week.
They're hanging around.
Blaine.
They've been up and down, but I wouldn't be surprised if they make a run in section 7. Moorhead plays St. Michael Albertville, 11-9 win for the Spuds. Little preview maybe of a section 8 showdown in a few days here. If they both teams end up making it and facing each other. That's a big win for Moorhead. I think that solidifies a section. If they end up playing each other in the section, St. Michael Albertville will have to go to Moorhead for that game. So that's maybe a game that impacts travel. Where else do I want to? There was another game. The late game of the night. This game started at 8 p.m., I believe. Woodbury.
That's a late start.
Beats Egan 15-11. Big win for Woodbury, who's just kind of been up and down. They played Stillwater close, and then they go to Egan comes to them, section 3 implications, and the Royals put up 15 goals. They're usually not a high octane team. They're usually a low scoring defense, ball control type Big Ten West type deal. But 15 goals.
But when you're playing Egan though, like again, I wasn't at this game. I don't know what the vibes were, but like sometimes when you play Egan, you got to play more of their style where it is like kind of punch for punch, go on runs, like score versus pack it in, block shots.
No, I don't disagree with you. So nice win for them. I think, and that gave them a little bump in the seeding for section 3, which is out right now as well. Tuesday, one game on the schedule.
Game in the Dome,
in the Irish Dome.
So I brought this up in the Discord. I would like to know what Rosemount's record is in their dome, and I would beg I would be a betting man that it is high. They have a good record in that dome. They've got the home. I'll just leave it at this: the home field advantage in that dome is a difference maker. I'll leave it at that.
Close game though against Shakopee, 9-7, in a South Suburban clash there. So good game. You know, if you had to watch lacrosse on Tuesday, then that was the game you're going to, and you
Yeah.
were treated. Yeah. Wednesday, a lot of games, a lot of reschedules. Duluth beats White Bear 9-8. Nice win for Duluth coming
Great
down.
win.
Let's see here. I think, you know, Rogers and Centennial playing for the Northwest Suburban title.
Massive game.
Massive game. Centennial has been just a mainstay in the Northwest Suburban. Rogers on the rise. Rogers wins 13-11. So
I think this game proves Rogers is for real. They had a hiccup against Andover, probably a trap game. They're probably starting to think about, the upcoming week of Blaine, Centennial trying to win the conference. Andover was kind of in the way. Friday night game. Who knows? Them beating Centennial for the conference. Watch out. Rogers and Sections, watch out. Watch out.
And then the DTA showdown, Prior Lake, Farmington, talking about game plans. People want to hear about game plans. Falling behind 8-0 to the Lakers was not in the game plan.
And going up 8-0 was not the game plan either. Obviously we're not going to complain about that, but you're not going into a South Suburban Conference Championship game thinking that that's going to happen.
It started bad. It got worse. Tip of the cap to the Tigers for at least stopping the bleeding a little bit and at least making sure we didn't get 20 bombed in that game. The Lakers came out with a purpose. They came out with game plan. They executed. They won every single ground ball. They were faster, bigger, stronger, faster, better in all facets. Best player on the field. I sent this to you and Kepner, number 21, Dylan Tushy. That guy made life miserable for our entire team. And tip of the cap to the Lakers. They proved, the South Suburban does run through them. Hopefully we get another chance another year, but the Tigers were not ready for the onslaught that we faced. However, we're taking it as it's better to happen that day than this upcoming week. And our team didn't really have a ton of adversity this year. We were kind of winning games, and it was all of a sudden like, oh, okay. Normally we have a get right game of like, hey, we got our butts kicked mid-season. And this just happened to happen on the last game of the season. So
if you lost that game, if you won that game, it's kind of the same thing. You got to have a short memory. It's on to the next one. It checked a box of, maybe a goal or a resume builder for section, whatever. But after that, it's over and you got to get to the next kind of phase of the season.
Yeah, and it just felt like it was like a weird game. I felt like I was in a dream the whole time. Like it just was. I don't even know. I don't even know how. I don't know how you guys felt about it. Obviously, you were on the winning end, but like you said, you probably didn't plan to be up, like just dominate. So like literally the whole game, it was just like it was a weird game. But both teams got to have a short memory. You guys play another game, another regular season game, and then you have a tiny Section 6 tournament coming up as well. So weird. Weird. But again, congrats to the Lakers for the South Suburban title.
Yeah. Like you said, we got one more here. We start late and late. We got Stillwater, which is going to be like, another great opponent, top 5 team, a team that's planning on going to state. it doesn't get easier. It never gets easier. It just continues to get harder and harder and harder. It's yeah, no, it'll be a fun one tonight though. I'm excited. The people were asking, why. I think they were looking at the stream schedule or something. I have no clue. Yes, there's weather this week, so the game got moved. The game got moved to Friday. But I'm actually kind of excited. Friday night under the lights. I like Friday night games. It's our senior night, last home game, last regular season home game for them. So actually having it on a Friday night, Memorial Day weekend, we kind of earn our weekend here. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be fun. It's obviously again huge matchup. Playing a team from a different part of the state. Kind of seeing what's going on, with them. As we continue to prepare for like the next phase of the season. So yeah, good game the other night. Yeah, weird game, but hopefully we see each other again at some point in the season, if as long as if we do, right, but we're gonna be happy. Like both teams are gonna kind of have a short memory off of that one and move on.
Yeah, on to Thursday. I think again some things are getting shuffled. We had 16 games on Thursday. I think the big one for me is Cretin Durham Hall 7 over St. Thomas Academy. That's a big rivalry, not just in lacrosse, but as athletic programs, as schools. Cretin gets the win. Sounds like there was food trucks there. Maybe some people went to the Nook after. I don't know, but overall,
Hopefully,
nice win for Cretin. However, all that really did was give them another chance to play St. Thomas Academy in the Section 3 battle, but that did ensure home field advantage for them. So that was a meaningful win for them, but there will be a rematch in a couple days here between the Raiders and the Cadets. So that should be a fun battle now with playoff implications, win or go home. Orono 6-5 over Chaska, low scoring game there. Interesting. And then Woodbury 7-2 over Matamidi. So that's more of a Woodbury score for me. A 7-2 win. And then the kind of the nightcap, Lakeville North, Eastview Apple Valley, 10-7 North. Good fight by the
yeah.
Valley.
Valley has stuck in all season long. They make it ugly. They keep it tight.
Yeah. So
we're going to talk about we have to do another episode like on Monday to talk about these sections.
one thing about
Eastview Apple Valley could go on a run here.
I agree. They are a gritty club. They're well coached. Lakeville North last night wearing all red uniforms.
That's cool.
I think they were throwbacks because they were very baggy. They had very much like a 10-year ago look to them. And so it was all red short, red jersey with chrome red helmets. So
they post them online or what? Where did you see this?
Saw this on the stream on NSPN.TV.
Okay.
That's my favorite thing is when it's usually boys teams pull out the retro. Like, I don't know if they're like, are they new uniforms or do we go into the deep dive of the school, the depths of the school closets and pull them out of a bin?
Yeah, programs still have old uniforms. I know at Farmington,
nothing online that I can see, but
got new uniforms, but we still have
Jefferson before I played literally had blue plaid kilts and white polo shirts.
That's
like
electric.
If they rolled up in that would be so fun. It would be so fun if they showed up in that.
Yeah. Tonight, we have a few more regular season games. Stillwater Prior Lake, we talked about that. It's probably the feature game. As far as, it's a top 5 matchup. It looks like there's 3 games on Monday, Memorial Day. Maybe reschedule. Oh, nope, that is Section 8. Section 8, like, first round is on Monday of Memorial Day. I believe Coach Turnbull told us about that last year. He had a issue with that, like he was missing half his team or something like that for a first round of sections. That's aggressive, but I get
that's tough break.
Really do anything else about it with the way that the schedule is in the spring for for Minnesota high school lacrosse. So, yeah, great regular season. I got to go through the boys conference winners.
Oh, yeah. Rip through that.
Big Nine, Owatonna. So Owatonna clean sweep of the Big Nine boys and girls.
You've been pumping them all year.
They're a solid club. I hope we don't have to play them in playoffs, but I don't know what's going to happen. Greater West Metro, Monticello, the Magic.
Not a bad first year for that staff winning a conference.
IMAC is Trimac. Trimac wins the IMAC. The Lake Conference, Wayzata.
Not the favorite going into this season. Not the favorite. Congrats to them getting it done.
You know, we talk about a goal, a stepping stone, a resume builder, the Trojans checking something off their list before they head into Section 5. The Lake Superior Conference, Hermantown is listed with the most points, but Duluth beat Hermantown Proctor, excuse me, and they maybe they play tonight, or I would say, like, let's look tonight. They do not play tonight, so that was a weird conference where not everybody played each other. So I don't know who I would give it to. Duluth, I guess, because they beat all the other teams, but I digress. The Metro East, St. Thomas Academy. The Metro West, Bloomington Jefferson.
Another upset.
Northwest Suburban.
Maybe even bigger upset. I don't know.
Royals. The South Suburban, Prior Lake. Suburban East, Stillwater. And the Wright County Southwest Christian High School.
Who has also had a great season, maybe out of left field.
Great.
Also a sweep because girls won Wright County too.
Not a big deal.
Oh, Southwest Christian. Any other closing thoughts? Regular season closing thoughts. Favorite moment, interesting moment before we get into playoffs here.
Every season's different. Every season has a different vibe, different storylines. I feel like this season has been the most fast, just entertaining, up and down like season. Everyone's beating everybody. Different teams are winning conferences. I have no clue who's going to come out of these section tournaments. I think it's fun. I think it's anybody's game. I think things are so unclear. I think things are so unclear. We've had question marks all year, and we still have question marks. It's just, we were sleeping on people. Great, prove us wrong. You did. So I've really enjoyed this season. Like, I like how this season's going. Like, it's pure, and it's youth sports, and it's anybody's game.
Yeah, no, I agree.
My B team is undefeated.
Not a big deal.
We tied one game, first game of the season, 2-2 against Stillwater.
That's a low scoring game. Doesn't beat my 12U Team 36 team from 2 falls ago with a 0-0 tie.
Yeah.
It got piped in. It went from Tourney Machine. Got piped into the soccer scores 0-0.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Tie for the 12Us. So that was an interesting game. But I do agree. We talked about it. A lot of fireworks this year. A lot of great games that have kind of turned into being meaningful, like games with implications in the regular season to make it fun, to make the storylines fun. We've had overtimes this year. We've had goalie goals. We've had massive upsets. My favorite moment was Farmington and Eastview, Apple Valley going to triple OT, and kind of a depth guy for us winning the game. So that was kind of fun for a guy that, has been a role player this year. So that was fun. A lot of rain games, a lot of wind games.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm sure now it's going to be 97 degrees now for the rest
For
of
sure.
Yep.
For
sure.
Thank you to the fans for tuning in, and the kids for tuning in and talking brats with us on the field, or, talking about the podcast pregame or postgame. It's always fun to, some days I'm like, I didn't sign up for this, but other days it's fun to know that we have an impact in the community, and whether you agree with us or don't. So thank you.
Yeah, and thank you to Old Southern Barbecue kind of riding with us this season. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it's more than maybe we signed up for or thought we were getting into, but the people clearly like it. The fans, the refs, the coaches. It's kind of a weird deal. We didn't really know what we were doing when we started this thing a few years ago. So
Shout out to the people who watch us because you're the true fans.
yeah, geez.
Having to see our faces and listen to us, you are a saint.
On that note, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back. We'll be back here very soon with section previews. Once those completely get released, we'll bring you our thoughts, our analysis, and our clueless takes very soon. And it's almost playoffs. Here we go.